Hey everybody, welcome to the daily update for Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. Happy hump day. Everybody and their brother is waiting for Nvidia's earnings to come out here. Let's just flip the camera here. Boom. Get out of there, Brian. Actually, you know what? Let me flip it back. Well, no, I'm going to keep it here for a second. Just want to mention, if you're not in our new Lund Loop trading room, you should be in there like right now. If you're a paid subscriber, you should get in there. If you're not a paid subscriber, become one. We've been doing some modifications, optimizations, and it is an awesome trading room. We'd love to have you in there, so get in there. All right. So let me talk a little bit about today's action, because that's what I do. I talk about the stock market on this thing called the Lund Loop Daily Update. Let's just extend this a little bit here. So the title of today's daily update is "There's Nothing Worse Than Markets in Transition," something like that. And that's what we've seen for the last, well, I think you could probably go back to that big down day on the 10th, Friday, October 10th. So 6 weeks maybe. What do I mean by transition? I mean, markets go into transition modes, right? So like here's a transition from an up market to a down market, right? Here's a transition from a down market to an up market. Here's a transition from a up market to a sideways market to a down market, right? And on and on and on. Lots of transition times. It's really easy for most people to make money during these periods like this. But it's when you go into that transition period that it starts getting tricky. And the problem with the transition period is it's like a recession. You don't know you're in it at the time. You only know it afterwards. So like, what will this transition turn into? Will it turn into a top? Will this be a top for a month, a year, a decade? Will it just be a chop fest for a few months and then we continue higher into a new uptrend, or do we start a new downtrend? We don't know. That's the thing, is that when you go into these transition periods, you don't know where they, someone online said, what about fake transitions? It's like, well, you never know. I don't know if this is a fake transition. I'll know in retrospect. All you can do is try to identify them as early as possible and take appropriate measures, which means going more risk off. Hey, Eric Burden and War, let me turn you fully off here. So look, it's hard enough for pros to figure out when we're going into transition. And the earlier they do it, the better. But for most of the retail market, they don't know till it's too late. They're still investing and trading the same way they did here, or, if you want to go all the way back to when we had that bottom in December of 2022, they've been bailed out a number of times. Bailed out here, bailed out here, bailed out here and here, bailed out these different spots in the tariff wars, meaning if they bought at these horrible spots, they were able to hold on and, become profitable. Will they get bailed out here? We don't know. We don't know. But that's the problem with transitional markets. I think the other problem with this market, and we'll check in on NVIDIA here from time to time. I think the other problem with this market is we're now into that binary event market when everyone is focused on one thing and everyone's like sitting there watching, like today, the Fed, what's the Fed going to do? Now everyone's like, NVIDIA, what's NVIDIA going to do? When market participants start focusing on specific events, event-based trading or investing, that's usually not good. You want the market to not care about what the PPI is or the CPI or the Fed's doing or what some companies' earnings are doing, because the market as a whole is just so strong. It's when it's in weak periods like this that those binary events really become more prominent, and that's not a great trading environment in my opinion. Now, having said that, here's what I think we have a possibility of going forward. I think the possibility is that, okay, the Fed's out of the way, and it doesn't look like there was that bad of a reaction to the Fed. If we go, so we ramped up in the morning, we sold off pre-Fed. The Fed was like around here, sold off a little bit, but we didn't violate the lows, and we kind of got a little bit of a rally into the end of the day. So that tells me market's not that worried about the Fed. If we can get past NVIDIA, meaning if the market's not that worried about what NVIDIA announces or what its earnings are, I think that does give us a potential runway because let's see, when's the next Fed meeting? Okay, thanks to ChatGPT, I just found out that the next Fed decision meetings will be the 9th and 10th of December. So, yeah, that's like right here. That gives us a little bit of time to ramp, I think. But we'll have to see. As far as NVIDIA, I'm not really concerned about what it does after hours. I mean, I guess if it dropped 20%, I'd be concerned. But I want to see how it shakes out tomorrow. So all of this is just a preamble to say we're not in a great trading environment. This is something that's been going on for weeks now. This is why I started going into cash back in October. So anyway, just beware. Just beware. All right, let's actually go through and look at the indexes here and see